Again, a very warm welcome to the program. And in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe's ousted Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa has returned to the country from exile, ailing a new and unfolding democracy in the country. Mr. Mnangagwa is tipped to succeed Mr. Mugabe, who resigned after spending 37 years in office. Upon his return, Mnangagwa addressed supporters in Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, and vowed to create jobs in a country where some estimates say 90% of people are unemployed. Officials in Zimbabwe say he will be sworn in as president at an inauguration ceremony on Friday. Before Mnangagwa's return to Zimbabwe, he had met with South Africa's President Jacob Zuma in Pretoria, South Africa. Let us quickly give you some details about that meeting.
South African President Jacob Zuma has held talks with the man who will soon be his new counterpart in neighboring Zimbabwe. Emmerson Mnangagwa paid a courtesy call on Zuma in Pretoria before returning to Harare. Mnangagwa fled Zimbabwe for South Africa following his sacking 2 years ago by former President Mugabe, alleging his life was in danger. The two men paid tribute to former President Robert Mugabe, who resigned from office on Tuesday after 37 years in office. They also acknowledged his contributions to the struggle for decolonization and the liberation of Southern Africa. President Zuma was due to travel to Zimbabwe on Wednesday, but cancelled his trip after Mugabe's resignation. The former vice president will be sworn in as president on Friday, November 24, to serve the remaining term of former President Mugabe until 2018, when elections will be held.
Will uphold the Constitution.
A new chapter in Zimbabwe's history indeed has opened with the fall of Robert Mugabe. And it seems that the first challenge for the next executive is that of the economy and development. Well, in the southern African country of 16 million inhabitants, 90% of the population is unemployed. And then, according to World Bank figures, the poverty rate in Zimbabwe reached 72% in 2011. The international poverty threshold is set at $1.90 per day per person by the international institution. So this means that 72% of Zimbabwe's inhabitants live on less than $1.90 per day, about 1.60 euros. But why is the country's economic situation so deplorable? The answers in this report prepared by Claire Mudinji and Serge Patrick Manku.
Robert Mugabe, Zimbabwe's president for nearly 4 decades, resigned on Tuesday. The news was met with euphoric celebration in the country. Mounting pressure, the loss of his party support, and the prospect of impeachment eventually proved too much to bear. His departure has, however, left an economy in tatters. Violent land seizures in the early 2000s, hyperinflation, lack of jobs, and a currency that was abandoned nearly a decade ago have undone most of Mugabe's good deeds. Zimbabwe's stock market has shed nearly a third of its value in the past week.
To date, I think we have lost north of 4 billion in terms of market capitalization. Are we still going down? In my view, yes, there's still a lot of downside. We might actually see the market, we believe the market is going to bottom down somewhere inside of 10 billion. And we still have got a few days more to go before we see stability coming back to the market.
Zimbabwe's mining industry is almost at a halt after plans for a state-run entity to take over operations went awry. Its industrial sector is estimated to be operating at less than 30% of capacity. However, some analysts say the country has still so much potential and the situation could turn around quickly with the right person in power.
Well, with us over the phone now is our correspondent in Zimbabwe, Pindai Dube. Pindai, good morning and thank you for joining us.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
We are very fine. Thank you very much, Pindai, for joining us yet again. It's almost 24 hours since the return of the former Vice President, Emmerson Mnangagwa, to the country. What is the mood of the people in Zimbabwe?
Yes, there are two celebrations in Zimbabwe. People are happy with the return of Mnangagwa. We had fled the country about 3 weeks ago after being fired by former President Mugabe. People were lining up in the streets of Harare yesterday, waving and stimulating at Mnangagwa convoy as it entered the CBD, the Central Business District. Some people I spoke to in the streets of Harare say they believe Mnangagwa will take the country out of the current crisis, and they are no longer afraid freedom in the country. They feel fresh for the first time.
Pindai, Zimbabwe was once one of Africa's most promising economies, but has suffered decades of decline. The country's 16 million people are set to remain poor and face currency shortages and sky-high unemployment. Basically, what are the people expecting this new government to do in respect to this? And do you think that former Vice President Mnangagwa can rise up to this economic challenge?
Yes, I believe with Mnangagwa down he promised what is promised now, putting down into practice. I can foresee this country's economy back on its feet again. He promised to bring massive investments. He says he's talking to Britain, America, and other countries in Africa, in the SADC region, and can foresee the country returns to its position as the breadbasket of Africa under Mnangagwa. So we still have to give them a chance, and we'll see what will happen.
Well, let us hope that this won't be a Herculean task for the incoming administration, and that indeed Zimbabwe's economy can experience transformation. Pindai Dube, this is where we'll have to leave it. Many thanks for speaking with us, and we will keep circling back to you to get the latest from Zimbabwe.